Thank you everyone for joining us here today at Rosham's Regeneration Summit for Israel, the Impact Nation. What we're doing in this segment is exploring how Israel can go from being known as the startup nation to also expanding into becoming the impact startup nation and implementing best practices, standards, policies, impact management practices into the way that impact startups and overall technology startups are developed in Israel. We're here today with a pioneer in the impact investing space, Leehe from the Global Impact Tech Alliance. She's going to introduce us to her work, her background, what she's doing in Israel right now, and what she sees as being the future of impact tech in Israel.
Hi, this is a wonderful opportunity and such an honor and a pleasure to be part of this beautiful panel with such powerful and inspiring women, and in general with everyone else here speaking about Israel's role in this world of impact investing. My background in this field is generally since 2008. So I've been in the impact investing world for quite a long time. My background before that, I think, is also relevant. I grew up in Israel, very much passionate about social, environmental issues and political issues, so very much an activist. And as I grew a little bit older, I became a little discouraged about the ability of social movements and environmental movements specifically. I've always been passionate about those issues, to actually make a difference. And I entered the financial world, seeing that, money does make the world go round. And I left, I put my values on the side and said, okay, I'll go into finance. And for a few years, I did, went into investment banking and traditional finance. Found out I understand it well, and I enjoy the work, but my soul was feeling something that was missing. And so I left Israel around 2005 to really look for different opportunities and where we can do this double bottom line activity. Found myself in Europe and then in the US, doing a graduate program in New York, where I found this world of impact investing. And I joined a fund called Leehe & Co., which is one of the pioneer renewable energy in developing countries impact fund. So we invested in clean energy solutions and entrepreneurs and projects for really for products that are dedicated to populations that are off grid around the developing world. People are not connected to electricity or cooking on traditional ways, so burning firewood. And so we had the opportunity to really invest in entrepreneurs that are bringing in new products that are clean. And with this fund, I spent some time both in the US and then in Amsterdam, and then I moved to Africa to really help manage the African portfolio of our fund. And I finally got to see what it means really for entrepreneurs to maximize both the social or environmental change that they're doing and the financial change, and understand that the gap that I was brought up on, I was told that there's a huge gap between financial returns or making money and doing good, and that we have to choose. And there's a line between, and you can't do both. And through my journey with the impact investing world, I realized, first of all, you can do both. And after a while, it seems that we really have to do both. So there's no turning back from entering this space. I spent a few years living in Africa, in different areas, from the beginning in West Africa and then in East Africa, and really studied amazing entrepreneurs creating these wonderful businesses that are truly addressing a social and environmental issue and truly making money. And as I entered the space and I understood the potential, I started looking more and more back home to Israel, which is, if any of you guys haven't been to Israel, it is an incredible, dynamic society. And one of the most unique things there is, well, here, because that's where I am right now, is the ecosystem around technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So of all my years living around Europe and the US, I probably met a dozen entrepreneurs, so friends of mine who decided to leave their jobs and stop being employees and set up a new company. Um, and so it's quite rare around the world. In Israel, I would say 50% to 70% of the people I know have left their job as employees and set up their own company. And a lot of them are in tech entrepreneurship. So it is super unique. It is incredibly dynamic. I've never seen anything like that. And knowing that, and coming to visit from where I was living around the world, I was so frustrated that all this innovation and all this entrepreneurship was looking towards, that left side of the column, just business only and maximizing money, and not even aware. A lot of business people, entrepreneurs, were not aware of all the global challenges. And so for a long time, I felt, there's such potential, but it's not happening. And then in 2013, I decided, I have to try and connect this dynamic, vibrant tech entrepreneurship society with the global challenges, and see if we can dedicate that amazing energy to actually address the problems in the world. And so I started, I met another group of people who shared that vision, and we set up a few organizations and a community around the stuff, a grant program with the government. I started working with academia to teach engineers and programmers, software developers about the global challenges and how technology can really be a jump to really address a lot of our global challenges. And just worked a lot with the community and the ecosystem. So new accelerators started popping up, like the A200 Impact Accelerator and Tech for Good, and these amazing actors that shared this vision. So I think in the last 6-7 years, there's slowly becoming an ecosystem around those issues of how we really push Israel from being tech for tech, it's just innovation, to really addressing the global challenges in a meaningful way. And if you look at Israel, it's really a tiny country, mostly known around the world, either for religious reasons or political or conflict. So we're very small, and yet quite centered a lot of times. But when you live in this country, you realize it's very unique, both in geography and in what happened here. So I grew up in a developing country, and it was not so long ago. Israel was a proper developing country. It had very limited resources, no natural resources. 1/3 of the country is desert. It's arid, completely arid. And a giant group of immigrants, a lot of them refugees, showing up from various countries in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s of the 20th century. And then all the conflict that arose because of that. So we had all this mess going on. But on the one hand, there was a lot of challenges. On the other hand, a lot of people that were very dedicated to solve these challenges in a creative way. And so in a lot of ways, Israel is already a success story of the impact tech world. Because when you think of a country with no natural resources and 1/3 of the land in the desert, then what you had to do immediately is start thinking innovatively about water and about agriculture. And so very quickly in the 60s and 70s, and definitely in the last few years, a lot of innovation came around growing vegetables and growing different kinds of agricultural crops in a desert setting. And amazing technologies came out of that, just out of the necessity of needing to grow food in an arid area. Amazing technology solutions around water management, water purification, and treatment. So 95% of Israel's water is treated, and really leading in the world around desalination solutions, et cetera. Again, out of necessity, out of being a poor country with no resources and no fresh water. And the same thing goes around energy and food and health and education. So a lot of things had to move on the go. And so we see really this energetic spirit of solving problems And that, I think, what led to this dynamic tech innovation industry. And so when you look at the world today, and I think this amazing coalitions going around to addressing the SDGs, and we see governments and corporates and financial investors moving their concepts to now look at larger value equations, looking at environmental and social challenges, looking at the SDGs, committing to be part of the solution and not only do no harm, then really Israel doesn't have a lot to contribute in terms of money. There's not a lot of capital. In terms of people, there's hardly a lot of people here, about 8 million people in the whole country. But in terms of the innovative spirit and entrepreneurship and dealing with the SDGs head on through tech solutions, I think really it could be a center for the world to test and pilot and really think quickly and adapt to the different challenges that the world is facing, especially today when challenges keep coming. Everyone has to be agile and think about what works. And around the impact investing world, that's the most important question, really. What works? Is it effective? Is it impactful? Are the solutions being developed really the right ones to deal with the challenges? And I think we can look at Israel as a little small country that is kind of like a giant testing space for these amazing solutions to deal with both climate challenges. We are the only country in the world with really a land border with Africa. It's quite unique. So we can really be part of the growing and the development of the continent, I think. So the climate challenges, the social challenges, they're all here. So it's a good testing space. So one of the things, so I have a question here. What do we need to do to ensure that the most effective and impactful Israel technologies for impact can scale globally and scale quickly? So I think what's super interesting about this issue is that there is a very active world around impact investing. It's growing exponentially. I'm sure a lot of people here knows that, and we're nearing $1 trillion in investment in impact. But a tiny percentage of that is actually going to venture capital impact investing, meaning early stage tech innovation. That gap in financing is actually so big and such a barrier for the growth, the scale and development of tech for SDGs that recently Cecile Leehe and I have co-founded an organization called the Global Impact Tech Alliance, when really we're trying to connect everyone working around the world on solutions to the SDGs and global challenges through tech innovation, not business model innovation and not the scale up. We're trying just to enter the gap of tech innovation. We want to connect everyone working on that, share our practices, and make this industry better and bigger. In 2019, only $1 billion were officially directed for impact investing and VC. That's not enough. We really need tech innovation space to grow, and for that we need the proper capital, the proper partners around the world that can bring in the challenges so the entrepreneurs and the innovators can understand the problem and to have a setting to test the solutions that they're bringing up, and then the financial support and the strategic partners to take it out of Israel and grow it. And another thing, we have to really ensure that we're not forgetting the methodologies of the impact investing world and the social innovation world and the public sector world of how do we make sure that something is effective. It's not enough just to have the good technology and the cool entrepreneur that knows how to code a new software. We really have to bring in the knowledge and the practices from the social sector and the public sector to measure and make sure that there is an effectiveness to these solutions, and not just our gut feeling that it's a good solution, but a methodological, analytical approach to impact management and measurement is something that is still kind of missing in Israel. And I call on both of the Israelis in the audience and the global actors to to help bring that practices and into the space. So we make sure that the tech being developed here is properly thinking about the potential impact, properly calculating the potential risks to the impact, and having a full methodology and making that happen.
Oh, one thing too, you know that email I sent you about the platform, if you do end up wanting to put together a social network platform like that, we might be able to sponsor it.
Really?
So let's pick that up in October after I have my baby. But because I basically kind of moved from the active portfolio management side to the foundation side of things, the nonprofit, because I'm focusing a lot more on research and report writing and developing tech tools. And I want the nonprofit to own the IP. Because we have partners, we have about 10 different partners or more who are working with us on the development of an IT tool for impact financial integration.
Nice.
So as part of that, I prefer to have the IP managed and owned by the nonprofit so we can decide collaboratively how we bring these solutions to market and who the investors and stakeholders will be. But that way I at least get to protect and control my own IP. You know what I mean? So then I'm not in this position of like having to answer to the investors right away when we haven't even created the tool yet, you know, and we haven't even like what you were saying, we're still in that R&D phase and we need funding for it. And the only way to really fund it is through our nonprofit right now, just because of how many people are involved. In the sense that, like, you know, they all want a piece of it, they're all excited, but we're still trying to figure out who's going to do what here, you know? And it's mostly my team developing it, everything. Like we have the IT people, we have the research, we have it all, and are leading the initiative. So I just figured, let me just focus on the nonprofit and then let Raphael manage the business on the ground and the portfolio and the financing of, you know, the rest of the infrastructure development and everything else. So that's worked out quite well. But the thing is, as a nonprofit, we'll also be like we've been getting donations and support and all of that. And as part of it, we're also, you know, doing some smaller stage grant making and some sponsorship. So we might be able to work with you on that platform and get the IT.
Yeah, I haven't come back to you because we were in the process of fundraising. I was like, oh, we can't afford it right now. So amazing, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not going to be like, you know, like the IT team that makes these, they make them in WordPress. So it's not going to be like, you know, at the level of Israeli technology, but it'll function the same way as CMTrex Global does, as our own Russian network platform does, to at least give you like a digital Rolodex, so that all of these startups you mentioned and all of the different stakeholders and your network members can all at least have a directory on there and start interacting with each other and send each other messages. And you can put up, I can show you, I'll take you on a tour of 3 different ones that our IT team has built. And then we can plan a project to build a sponsored one for you, probably starting in November. So in October, we can follow up, we'll take you through it, and then we'll build the sponsored one in November, if you like.
That's amazing news. Thank you so much. I think that, I mean, I have a volunteer working on it. We're using different platforms right now, but it would be amazing to kind of bring it all into one platform, into our website.
So let's book a tour with the IT team so we can show you 3 different examples of how this was put into practice, and then you can see if it's the right fit for you, and then we can get all the IT people to start working on it, and I'll obviously like help and contribute as much as I can in terms of, you know, the copy editing or anything that needs to happen on that level, or bringing in, like, we have compiled so many resources that we kind of use on all the platforms. We put all the impact related resources on all the different platforms to really move education forward. And we just spoke with Mike from the Impact Management Project yesterday, who gave us the green light as a foundation to, you know, really like just kind of move forward with publishing like how much of his research we're leveraging off for some of this work. And he's going to join our working group. So it's exciting. I mean, there's a lot going on the foundation side, and I just want to keep that up. So yeah, so let's pick it up. I'll email you with a follow-up for today, and with my scheduling link. And I don't know if do you have the free ticket link, the partners link? for the conference?
I think so.
Let me resend it just in case so you don't have to dig through your emails. It'll be at the top of your email. I'll send you my scheduling link and I'll loop in the rest of the team just with a quick note that we're going to follow up with you. We don't have to wait until October. We can do it right after the conference, just to kind of give you a tour and show you how we do this. And then you can take your time to decide, whether you want to leverage off our WordPress people to make this community platform for you. And then we can start with the sponsored project around the end of October.
That's beautiful. So really, I appreciate that. Looking forward to that. And then, but let's get this conference money. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just wanted to let you know we appreciate you, and I want to give back in some way because your time is so valuable too. So, and I'll follow up with you about the fund. I'm just setting it all up. I'm doing all the legal work now. It's between that and the baby and the conference, it's like I have to clone myself. So I'm sure you can relate. Let's just make Leehe and Miriam clones.
We're gonna have a lot of feedback and reaction after the conference. You have to deal with that too. A lot of people will be contacting.
Yeah. Well, plus we're going to be onboarding everyone onto Rosham.net. So the whole point is the footage, right? And also the Rosham network, I have to also make it managed and owned by the nonprofit, because people will be paying for memberships afterward. And I want to make it very clear that like the fund, any revenue from that goes back to fund our research and to fund the Institute. And I've got a range of fellows. So I'm going to use the Rosham network to facilitate education and fellowships for my fellows. So everyone who joins the network after the conference will be a part of these different working groups managed by the foundation and the Institute. So that's exciting. It's like something I'm really passionate about, and I can't wait to get people actively collaborating afterwards. And it'll make it a lot easier to do it through the Institute, because then they know it's not part of the consultancy or anything else. It's just very much focused on active collaboration and kind of open source information sharing for now. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so we hope to see you there, and also hopefully see you at the conference too. There are a couple sessions,
of course,
just Ani's and a few others, and yeah, so we'll see you there. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.